Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Join me as we continue this special week of the TTT, celebrating the holidays in the letters from Father Christmas. Now, yesterday we spent the episode reviewing the history of the various editions of the book and sharing a bit of what Bailey Tolkien wrote about how she got involved in the editing of the project. Not to mention just how inspirational the letters have proven to be to so many people. Today, let's look at the introduction and the first letter. In the introduction, we learn that Tolkien wrote a letter to his children every year in which he described in words and pictures his house, his friends, and the events, hilarious or alarming, at the North Pole. The first of the letters came in 1920 when John, the eldest, was 3 years old, and for over 20 years through the childhoods of the three other children, Michael, Christopher, and Priscilla, they continued to arrive each Christmas. Sometimes the envelopes, dusted with snow and bearing polar postage stamps, were found in the house on the morning after his visit. Sometimes the postman brought them, and the letters that the children wrote themselves vanished from the fireplace when no one was about. Now, we also read about how the story becomes a little bigger, growing to include not just the North Polar Bear, but everyone from snow elves and cave bears to Paksu and Valkatuka, the nephews of everybody's favorite bear, NPB. Now, of course, Father Christmas would get so busy, he would eventually need his own secretary, an elf by the name of Ilbereth. And elves end up playing a role in some of the later letters. As Tolkien says in The Hobbit, now you know what to go on with. So let's go on to the earliest letter from Christmas 1920. Tolkien himself was weeks away from his 29th birthday. He'd just been appointed as reader in English language at the University of Leeds. He and Edith had been married for 4 years, and their eldest son, John, had just celebrated his 3rd birthday. Michael was a brand new baby, having been born October 20th of that year. The envelope, written in the shaky hand of Father Christmas, shows that the letter, dated 1 day after the completion of term at Leeds, was addressed to Mrs. Tolkien and Master John Francis Ruel Tolkien, then living at 1 Alfred Street in Oxford. The letter is simple, reading, "From Christmas House, North Pole, 22nd December 1920. Dear John, I heard you ask Daddy what I was like and where I lived. I have drawn me and my house for you. Take care of the picture. I'm just off now for Oxford with my bundle of toys. Some for you. Hope I shall arrive in time. The snow is very thick at the North Pole tonight. Your loving Father Christmas." There's a little black and red set of holly leaves and berries in the top right of the letter, and a note that reads, "Love to Daddy, Mummy, Michael, and what looks like Auntie Mary." And that would be the daughter of May Inkledon, the older sister of Tolkien's mother, Mabel. There were no letters for 1921 or 1922. John would have been 4 and 5, and Michael 1 and 2 over those Christmas holidays. Tolkien was still reader of English language at Leeds, and the Christmas season of 1922 seems to have been rather eventful anyway. Scull and Hammond's chronology tells us that the boys attended a party for children of Leeds University staff in December, and that most likely it was at this party that both boys caught measles, in turn infecting Edith and their nurse. Tolkien would write later, "By the beginning of January, I was the only one in the house left out." So I think he can be excused from writing a letter from Father Christmas that year. But folks, that wraps it up for today in the letters from Father Christmas. Please join me again tomorrow for more as we look at the letters from 1923 and 1924 and wonder whether Lot's bricks are really better than Pick-a-Bricks. Learn how you can support the TTT by visiting patreon.com/Tolkien Times. You can become part of my content council, join me for a monthly hangout, and get a full bonus episode every week. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really does help. And please follow or subscribe on your podcast apps and follow @Tolkien Times on social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.